The VegasForward Podcast delves into the lives of the people in our community, uncovering not only what they do, but who they are. Business may keep our city strong, but it's the individuals that continue to create, innovate, and push Vegas forward. All right. Well, welcome to the VegasForward Podcast. Today, we're super excited to have one of our more interesting guests, I would say, Bobby Lee of Bobby Lee Bitcoin. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Nick. So excited to be here.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit, Bobby, about what you do. Let's start on a very high level about what you do for a living.
Sure. So I am I'm an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I'm a serial entrepreneur in the cryptocurrency space.
Okay.
So I've been doing so it's Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I've been doing this for the last 10, 11 years. So I got into it 11 years ago in 2011. Mm-hmm. I'm a tech guy with background in tech. So I used to work in Silicon Valley at Yahoo.
Okay.
And then moved to China a few years after that, and then started my cryptocurrency career in China, Shanghai. So I've been doing that for the last 11 years.
Wow.
Started as sort of a hobbyist mining Bitcoin, and then ran an exchange in China called BTCChina, also known globally as BTCC.
Okay.
I sold that company, 4 years ago? Okay. And then I started a new company called Ballet. We make hardware wallets for cryptocurrency, cold storage wallets called Ballet.
Very cool. Yeah, that's why I was excited to have you on and talk about it, because I'm a novice, right? I hear everyone buying cryptocurrencies, and to me, it's like an unknown thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm scared to invest in it, right? I want to talk a little bit more about that and your thoughts on it. But let's, one of the things we like to do with the podcast is kind of talk about, where you started, right? And that what we've noticed with a lot of the people we've interviewed have been successful entrepreneurs like yourself. There's always things in their past that have made them who they are today, right?
Sure.
And so take me back to when and where you grew up, and tell me a little bit about growing up.
Yeah, so my parents are Chinese and then Hong Kong descent.
Okay.
And I grew up actually in Africa. So I was born in West Africa, a country called Ivory Coast. Mm-hmm. So my parents and grandparents were actually there for business. So they established themselves there in the early, in the early 70s. In the late 60s, early 70s. These are my grandparents. Okay. And then my parents settled there after they finished college, and I was born in 1975. Mm-hmm. So I'm sort of like African American, Chinese American, whatever.
Interesting. You're like Elon Musk.
Yeah. Born in Africa. That's right.
What was it like living there, and how long were you there?
So I was there from birth until 14.
Until
and that's
14.
when I came to the U.S. for high school.
Interesting. Okay.
So I went to American school all those years.
Where did you go to school in high school? Like what
high
state?
school I went to New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
In New Jersey.
That's where I'm from.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Where about New Jersey?
So I went to Lawrenceville. It's a private school, prep school outside of Princeton area.
Yeah. So that's where I grew up, believe it or not.
Where?
I'm sorry, right outside Princeton.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, right near Lawrenceville Prep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I didn't even know that about you.
Was it 206, right? That's
correct.
That's
yep.
Yeah.
So I actually grew up in Montgomery Township.
I see.
So
What
I always say Princeton because people know Princeton.
Yes. I just say Princeton as well.
Just not smart enough to get in there.
Yeah. No one would know where Lawrenceville is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a small world.
Yeah. So how'd you like living in New Jersey?
It was good. I was there for 4 years.
Okay.
So we had the 4 seasons.
Yep.
And overall, I mean, the summers were hot and humid.
Definitely, yeah.
And but overall, it was a good experience. It was my first sort of taste of America, living in America.
And did you speak English at the time? Or
I did.
Oh, you did?
So
okay.
I fortunately in the Ivory Coast, it was a French-speaking country.
Okay.
But my parents put me through an American international school system since from kindergarten, whatever.
Okay, great.
So I had the fortune of growing up in the U.S. education system.
Okay.
Through the elementary school and all that.
Oh, very cool.
Junior high.
So what did you do after you graduated high school? Did you go straight to college?
After that, I went straight to college. I got accepted at Stanford.
Oh,
so
wow.
I flew across the coast and attended Stanford in Northern California. Mm-hmm. And only then I realized that was Silicon Valley. That was the tech hub.
Yeah.
So for some naive reason, I didn't realize that, even though I had always been interested in math and science and engineering. Mm-hmm. So in hindsight, it was a great choice because Stanford had a great curriculum. Yeah. I ended up studying computer science.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did it become a tech hub out there? Like, was it always a tech hub, or is it the last 30, 40 years?
We know of it as a tech hub in the last 30, 40 years,
okay.
Right? In the last 20, 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
But the reality is Silicon Valley started in the 60s, right? Mm-hmm. So this is where, Intel, HP, some of the grand tech companies started in the valley. back then it was an orchard valley, a lot of vegetation, a lot of farmers, a lot of, it wasn't quite silicon,
Like it is
so
now.
to speak, like it is now, right?
Got it.
Even now, it's no longer silicon. Silicon Valley refers to the time when it was all those computer chip companies, the silicon chip fabs,
Interesting.
like the Intels and the I forgot the other names. So
Okay.
this is like in the 50s and 60s, the HPs
Got it.
and all the Apple, right?
Okay.
All those companies, Sun Microsystems, all those sort of tech
Started it
computer
all.
companies, and then over the last 20 years, it's shifted to internet companies, which is
All
still software, and tech, but doesn't have the computer chip component.
Got it. Okay.
And then these days, it's like social media and a lot of
everyone's out there. Yeah. It's crazy. So when you were at Stanford, did you do any like internships, or were you focused in a specific area?
I did. So I all those years I was very much into, like I said, throughout high school I was strong in my math and science curriculum.
Okay.
And then at Stanford, the notable internships I did at IBM. So IBM had a research facility in Almaden, San Jose, California. So Almaden Research Center. So I did that in '96. That was a lot of fun. I did an internship at Microsoft, so that was also a very prestigious summer internship for computer science people like myself.
Okay.
Very, very fun doing that. I worked on Internet Explorer.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Internet Explorer. By the way, they just killed off the product after 20 some years.
I know. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. So that was '97, and then I did another internship at a startup called Silicon Spice. And then my full-time job, I went to Yahoo right after college. It was a bachelor's and a master's degree.
So all those internships you did while you were at school?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the summertime. And
Got it.
some I did, yeah.
I always said it's a great experience doing internships because you get real life experience versus just reading out of a book. It's totally different.
Yes.
What did you do? Like, what was your favorite internship that you did?
So I think like I said, the IBM one was very meaningful. I got to work on the team that worked with the IBM ThinkPad, the trackpad.
Oh, cool.
It was a usability sort of research center.
Okay.
At the IBM Research Center. And then the Microsoft one was fun. I went to Seattle for that.
Was it a rigorous interview process to
it was.
get an
It was.
internship?
The Microsoft one was very rigorous.
Yeah.
So each year they bring in, I think, a few hundred interns from all around the country, all computer science strong. So it's, like I said, it was very prestigious because it's actually very hard to get the Microsoft internship. This is in the mid 90s, right?
Yeah.
So that was fun. It was getting that internship was almost like getting into college. It was that kind of
prestigious.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you graduated and then you went straight to Yahoo after?
Yeah.
And what did you do over at Yahoo?
So Yahoo, but back then in '98, it wasn't obvious, right? I was getting job offers from all these traditional software application companies and Microsoft and IBM and so on.
Uh-huh.
But Yahoo was an internet company and that was up and coming. So, but by '96, '97, I realized the internet is the next big revolution. So that's why I committed myself to the internet sector.
Okay.
By taking a job at Yahoo, it was like a low job offer,
Riskier
salary,
too, probably.
Riskier,
Yep.
less pay and all that.
Yeah.
But more stock options and all that.
Okay.
So I worked in online communities. So I was a computer science I was a computer programmer, software engineer in online communities. So they had online communities, forums. It was the early precursor to the Facebook groups and all that. So it's called Yahoo Clubs.
Okay.
And then it eventually became Yahoo Groups, mailing lists, and all that. Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you at Yahoo for?
I was there for quite a long time in internet years. I was there for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So from '98 to 2006.
And what role did you start off with, and how did you progress?
Yeah, I started as just a programmer, as an engineer. They call it technical Yahoo. It's just like a software engineer.
Okay.
And I progressed, and then eventually became a manager, and then like engineering manager, and then I became a senior manager. So I got like 2-3 promotions in those years.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
And then what did you do right after Yahoo?
So after Yahoo, that was it was a long stint. In hindsight, I should have switched around.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
And then I decided to take some time off, and that what's brought me to Asia because my parents had purchased like a vacation home in Shanghai.
Okay.
So Shanghai is like sort of our ancestral home. That's where my grandparents grew up.
Yeah.
So up until then, I've only visited as once, but we've never stepped foot into mainland China all throughout my childhood. Mainland China was considered sort of the ghetto, off limits kind of thing.
Interesting.
And and then we went vacation there. And anyway, so my parents bought a vacation home there. So by, I think in 2007, it brings me to Las Vegas. So basically, I decided to go out to Asia just to check things out.
Yeah.
And then as part of that, I moved residency to Nevada, to Las Vegas.
Okay.
So that's when I moved officially from California to Nevada.
And what brought you here?
So Las Vegas has always been a fun place.
Yeah.
Part of the reason was to not be in the orbit of California for state tax reasons.
Yeah.
Nevada didn't have a state tax, so I figured that if I'm going to leave for a while and go to China, I might as well not associate myself with California. So I made
smart move.
made the decision to come to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So I switched out my driver's license, my car plates, DMV plates,
Yep.
my credit card bills, bank statements, everything came to my new home address in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you work when you were here, or was it?
No, I didn't. I didn't work. It
Okay.
was just like a residence move.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I rented a place, sent all my mail there.
Okay.
I moved all my stuff here. I drove down, large,
Yeah.
all these suitcases and boxes and stuff like that.
So you kind of went back and forth, and for tax purposes, purchased here.
Yeah, so I settled in Nevada,
Yep.
and then from this home base in Las Vegas, I then flew to China.
Got it. Okay.
And I was flying back and forth, and they eventually got a job there in Shanghai in 2007.
Okay. What were you doing?
Yeah. So my first job was at an American company called EMC.
Okay.
So they're a data storage company. They have since been acquired by Dell. So now it's a sub-brand of Dell computers.
Okay.
So EMC did data storage, sort of cloud storage, cloud computing stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, I started as a director of software engineering.
Okay.
So it was like an R&D center, research center,
Okay.
a programming research center in Shanghai. So I ran that as a team of the management team, as a member of the management team.
And how long did you say you were there for?
I was at EMC for, I think, 2.5 years.
Okay. And is that when you went off and started doing your own thing, or?
No. I actually did 3 different jobs in Shanghai before coming on to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Interesting.
So I started in 2007. EMC was my first job. My second job was a CTO of Best TV, which is an IP television company. So today all the televisions have these smart connected TVs, right?
Yeah.
So they have the program inside. You could download and stream video. So we were making the first generation of that.
Oh, interesting.
IP TV set-top boxes, connected TVs, we call them.
Yeah.
So that was 2009, 2010, and then 2011 I went to Walmart for e-commerce. So Walmart recruited me to join their sort of global e-commerce team to launch e-commerce in China. Mm-hmm. So I've done a bunch of everything. I've done online communities, communications, cloud computing.
Yeah, it's a very diverse background.
Cloud storage. I've done IP television, streaming video.
Okay.
I've done e-commerce, right? And
how was it working? How was it working at Walmart?
Walmart is fun. Walmart, is Fortune 1 company, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's the bragging rights, right?
Yeah.
It's like Fortune 1. It's the
Yeah.
highest revenue in the world.
Yeah.
I think it still is. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It may change though, right?
And what did they task you with in China to help build the e-commerce out there? Was it successful?
Yes, exactly.
Or?
So Walmart had entered China in the late 90s, I think, the retail stores. However, China e-commerce was picking up steam very fast.
Yep.
The local competitors are like Jingdong and Taobao and Tmall and all that, Alibaba, you've heard of these companies in China.
Yep.
And then Walmart wanted to get a foothold there, so they were rushing to establish a beachfront.
Interesting.
So the Walmart e-commerce team was actually in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
So they hired me, put together a team like a strike force to launch e-commerce in China, like ASAP.
Was that successful, or because I know it's hard to break into a market like that?
It's depends how you look at it. I was hired as VP of technology to run the tech team. They had merchandising, they had product, and all that different collection of senior management.
Yeah.
Now, in the end, what happened was it's a little bit of a sad story. So we got hired to be the strike force to do that, but what happened was, they had also made a minority investment in a local e-commerce player, called Yihaodian.
Okay.
And that was sort of a signal they were trying to hedge their bets.
Got it.
And then after we joined, like 6 months or 9 months after we joined, they actually increased their minority stake to a majority stake.
Interesting.
And then from that, they decided to take it over and basically switch horses.
Okay.
Instead of doing the home-built one, they're going to go with the outside acquisition.
Okay.
So that's why my stay at Walmart wasn't that long.
Got it.
So I only stayed there for like a year and a half.
Okay.
And I left in late 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. And then again, the silver lining is that's what allowed me to go do Bitcoin.
And how'd you get introduced to Bitcoin?
So I got introduced to Bitcoin. My brother Charlie, he mentioned it to me in early 2011.
Okay.
So that's when I started mining. We're discussing. So he and I were early sort of. We've always been really close.
Yeah.
We went to school together in the Ivory Coast. Went to high school together at Lawrenceville.
Yep.
College, we went our separate ways. I went to Stanford. He went to MIT.
Okay.
He's 2 years behind me, younger than me.
Okay.
But nonetheless, we were both tech and science, computer science, studying computer science. So very very technical geeks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also had a passion for collecting gold, for investing in gold.
Interesting. Okay.
So I bring this up because gold is actually very interesting and very important in the history of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin, the biggest criticism is people who don't understand Bitcoin. They ask what makes Bitcoin valuable, and to understand that, you have to first understand what makes gold valuable. It turns out gold is not backed by the government. Gold doesn't have any redemption value. It has some chemical properties that are very unique and special to this element. It's a metal, right?
Yeah.
Gold. It's and then the close cousin is silver, right? So why did gold and silver become the commonplace money throughout the world for centuries and millennia? And the reason is because of the chemistry, right?
Okay.
So we all took chemistry class in high school.
Yeah.
It turns out the chemistry aspect of gold and silver made it very special.
Scarce.
Scarce is one aspect. It's inert. It's very dense, and has a relatively low melting temperature. And also, it doesn't evaporate or melt in common, what do you call it, in room temperature.
Got it.
Right, solid in room temperature, but it's malleable enough you could turn into different things, different sizes. It's also malleable, so you could 2 pieces of gold, you can melt it together to be 1 piece, and you can make it back into 2 pieces or 10 pieces, and you can never tell which are which. And it's because it's a natural element and not a compound.
Okay.
It means it's uniquely the same everywhere in the world. For example, water.
Yeah.
H2O is a compound.
Yeah.
It's hydrogen and oxygen, and plus it's a mixture, right? So if you get water from 2 different places around the country, around the world, they actually taste slightly different because of the chemicals and the minerals in there.
Yeah.
Right. So unless
like Nevada water.
Yeah. You
don't wanna drink that.
Yeah. Unless you get it really pure,
Yeah.
distilled water, then it would be the same, right?
Got it.
So gold, if it's pure gold, then it's uniquely the same. Sorry, it's not uniquely, but it will be the same everywhere in the world.
Yep.
So a lot of these chemical aspects of gold make it very special, and that's what made it as a form of money.
Okay.
And there's scientific uses as well, conductivity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But cast that aside, that's what made gold valuable as money. And same with Bitcoin. So we study Bitcoin, by understanding gold. Charlie and I, by understanding gold, what makes it valuable, we had a deeper appreciation of what could make Bitcoin valuable.
And what are what's the tie in there? Like what are the similarities?
Well, the similarity is it's very scarce because it's limited. So Bitcoin was designed to be limited. There's only 21 million Bitcoins in circulation.
Okay.
So up until then, so at Yahoo, I led a project called Virtual Currency.
Okay.
So aside from communities, by my late tenure in Yahoo, I did online communities, I did virtual currencies, I did online identities, and all these different avatars and profiles and all that.
Okay.
I was the engineering manager for these different projects. And up until then, all sorts of virtual currencies and point systems were unlimited.
Yeah.
Think of your airline reward miles. I don't know what airline you fly. Think of your hotel rewards program, Marriott, whatever, Hilton.
Yep.
So all of those programs, loyalty programs, even credit card points, they're unlimited.
Yeah.
Right? The company can issue however many points they want to issue you.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not considered real money.
Correct.
Right? You'll never consider, I'll take my paycheck and convert it all to Hilton rewards.
Yeah. No.
Or convert it all to McDonald's points. Right?
Correct,
Why would you do that? Right?
No,
it would make no sense.
Yeah.
Because it's unlimited and they control the value.
Got it.
Whereas with Bitcoin, that's not the case. It was designed as a global currency with a limit of 21 million.
Okay.
And then the best part is because you could have subunits. You could have multiple decimal places you could have multiple zeros after decimal places. Okay. So 21 million could be 21 billion, could be 210 billion, it could be 21 trillion. So it's just the fact that it's very limited.
Got it.
The numbers sound like a lot, but still for the whole world it's limited. Unlike the U.S. dollar, unlike these point systems. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is malleable in the sense that if I have some Bitcoin, you have some Bitcoin, we can put it all together and mash it up, and that's just the sum of our Bitcoins.
Yep.
And then I can carve it out and send some to you, send some to me, and send some to whoever.
Yep.
So it all stays and all flows equally. So it's called fungible. Yeah.
Okay. And so what's the difference between, like, in your thoughts, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that are out on the market right now?
Yeah. Big difference, right? So this is something that there needs to be more education about.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency that was successful. Decentralized means that it's independent. So prior to Bitcoin, people have been trying to make decentralized, independent digital currencies for decades. However, none of those proposals worked out. They all has fatal flaws.
Okay.
The alternative was to use a centralized digital currency, which would be like the credit card points or hotel points. Those would be digital. You could have the company send it back and forth in email.
Sure.
But it would be centralized, controlled by the company. So there was no decentralized, independent version of that until Bitcoin came around.
Which makes it more secure too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More secure, more privacy, more independence, right? More liberty. Right?
Yeah.
So that Bitcoin was famous for that, for being the first successful one, and it became the most valuable one. Okay. And by being most valuable, it's a network effect. Because it's valuable, people see it as number one. People want to invest in it. So that's what makes Bitcoin popular.
Got it.
Now, what happened is all these other cryptocurrencies after that, whether it's Litecoin, Ethereum, all these other coins after that, they became copycats.
Yeah.
So they call them altcoins, like alternate coins, ALT, alternate coins, altcoins. And sometimes it's derogatory. They call them shit coins because a lot of them have no value.
Doge.
Yeah. So all these other coins were then they can copy Bitcoin like source code. For example, Litecoin famously is a copy of Bitcoin, and Dogecoin, as you mentioned, is actually famously a copy of Litecoin.
Interesting. Okay.
So Litecoin copied Bitcoin, Dogecoin copied Litecoin. So these are all derivations. So the software is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
However, what it can't steal from Bitcoin is the fact that Bitcoin is number one. Bitcoin is a go-to. It's a standard.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like you take a keyboard. It's called the QWERTY keyboard. You have QWERTY on the upper left-hand corner.
Correct.
You can take the keys and mix them up. You can copy the keyboard and just change the letter ordering. Yeah, you have your own keyboard, but is it going to be the standard? Well, will other people know how to type on your keyboard?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Right? So people won't know how to type on your keyboard, right?
Yeah.
So even if you get very clever, say, put all the vowels together, put all the consonants over here, put all the whatever.
Yeah.
You could make them very easy to type, but the reality is what's easy for you may not be easy for everyone else.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So that's why you want a global standard, and Bitcoin has become that global standard.
Okay.
Whereas Litecoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, not quite.
Okay.
So that's the gotcha.
How did your brother hear about Bitcoin?
So he heard about it through online forums. Yeah.
Interesting.
So this is very early. We were into it in 2011, barely just 2 years after the birth of Bitcoin. So today Bitcoin is like 13 and a half years old.
Yeah.
So this is like 11 years ago. So way early.
Wow. Yeah. How many people were in it back then? I mean, did you even know?
I think a few hundred to a few thousand back then. Basically, today you could go to a coffee shop, restaurant, you yell out Bitcoin, people sort of know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They might not own it or invest in it, but at least they know what you're talking
Everyone
about
knows,
because it's in the news and stuff like that.
Correct.
But in 2011, 2013, you would yell it out. No one would know what that word means. Right.
And you start off by mining it?
Yeah, mining. Mining is
Tell
a
us about
process. Yeah, mining is a process of calculating, creating the Bitcoin out of thin air.
Okay.
So it turns out for the 21 million Bitcoins, there's a process called mining, which distributes the Bitcoins into the world.
Okay.
Because on day one, there actually wasn't 21 million. So Bitcoins come out over time. Even today, 13 years later, there's only 19 million Bitcoins in circulation.
How do you know there's 21 million then?
So it's not that there is 21, there will be 21. It's in the program. Okay. So the program is a open source software. It's run across thousands of computers, right, up to 1 million computers. And all the computers talk to each other. They all reinforce the same rules. They all say 21 million, 21 million, 21 million.
Got it.
Maximum. So now there's about 19 million, and then every day more come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And mining, I've heard, like, takes up a lot of energy. There's kind of like a bad rap with mining. Is that correct?
There's a bad reputation with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's unfair.
Yeah.
And the reason it takes up a lot of energy is because Bitcoin remember, it was designed by this genius.
Yeah.
It's a pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto. He's
Nobody knows who
Nobody
he is.
knows who he is in real life, but that's his pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto. And he has since, by the way, disappeared from the online forums. So we don't know if he's around anymore.
Okay.
So it was designed to be securely to be maximum 21 million, but he wanted to give out the 21 million over a course of 140 years. He didn't want all 21 million out there right away. Okay. So, for example, if he had created all 21 million on day one,
no value.
He could only given it to himself. And if he kept all 21 million and were to assign himself to give it out to people, then it'd be unfair. People will cry foul.
Yeah.
What if he kept more for himself? He can give out others.
Yeah.
So what he did was he created a fair system, like a lottery system, where he would piecemeal give out Bitcoins to other people. Not him, but the system would.
Okay.
And the process was eventually nicknamed mining.
Okay.
Because it's a lottery. It's a lottery where every 10 minutes, the system will give out 50 Bitcoins. So every 10 minutes since January of 2009, and that's when Bitcoin was born. On January 2009, it would give out 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes, 50. Wow. So so if you do that, you get about 7,200 Bitcoins on the first day. Okay. If you just do 50 Bitcoins times 144, that's how many winnings there are per day.
Got it.
24 hours times 6. Okay, 144 times 50, that's 7,200.
Okay.
So on day 1 there's 7,200. On day 2 there's 14,000. On days 3 there's 21,000, and so on and so forth. Got it. And by the first month there's 210,000. Okay. And then basically over the course of the 4 years, half the Bitcoins came out. For the first 4 years, for the first year, roughly 2 million Bitcoins came out, another 2 million. So by the end of 4 years, about 10.5 million came out. Oh, wow. And then drops down in half. So basically, instead of 50, there's 25. So these are very technical details. Yeah. But the point about the mining is that people would have to make an effort to get the lottery ticket to win that lottery prize. Interesting. Right? So to make it fair, instead of saying, oh, we'll give it to the poor people, or give it to the people of certain ethnicity or certain religion or certain race and certain gender, which is hard to figure out on the internet. You can pretend to be someone else. Sure. Right? Yeah. So he didn't want to discriminate, but he said, okay, we'll just give it to the people who show up and run this program. If you run this program, we'll give you 1 lottery ticket. Got it. And if you run the program twice, you'll give you the 2 lottery tickets. So every 10 minutes, we can give a lot more lottery tickets and the winners, and that's what happened. Okay. Yeah. And how long did you guys mine for? You said a couple of years, or the communities have been mining Bitcoin all the way since 2009. It hasn't stopped. Yeah. For myself, I only mined in the summer of 2011. Okay. Yeah. And then, I mined about 3 months, 4 months. Yeah. And what made you stop? Just exhaustion? It was, it was a phase. Sorry, yeah. I mined. It was very exciting mining, and then by October, November, the machine was getting very hot. The machine, I was running I built my own PC with 4 different graphics cards plugged in. Okay. And it was just humming along. Yeah. It's like all the fans and all the power supplies. Yep. So I ran that for about 4 months, I think, and I stopped it in the winter. Okay. It was just like, it wasn't going to go anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. That's funny. So I spent like $100 on electricity cost. Oh. And what I got back was roughly $100 worth of Bitcoin. Okay. At the time. Yeah. So I was like, it's break even. Yeah. So not anymore. So but since then, those Bitcoins have gone up in price a lot. Right? Oh yeah. So yeah. What was the value back then? So back then it was like $100, like $200 worth of Bitcoin. Right? Oh, I see. And this is like 20 Bitcoins. Okay. Oh wow. So 20 Bitcoins today is like $500,000. Yeah. Yeah. $500,000 today. And you even know what you were sitting on back then, right? I did not know. Yeah. So what did you guys do next after you mined for a little while? So this is by the way, this is when I started my job at Walmart. So my job was very busy, so attending to that. Got it. And then by the time I left Walmart, I was looking for something else to do. So after I left Walmart, I was looking for something else. I was either going to join a new company, move to Beijing, or move back to Silicon Valley, or I said, hey, I could actually start a company. Yeah. So that's when I decided I was going to be one of the very first people to start a company in Bitcoin. Interesting. Okay. And I started, I co-founded an exchange business in China called BTCChina. I found two other partners, my co-founders, and we launched BTCChina, got venture funding.
Oh,
So
very
I
cool.
became the CEO of the company called BTCChina.
How'd you get funding explaining this to people that,
Yeah, it
that
was
must have been
tough. It was
challenging.
tough. It was very tough.
Yeah.
Talked to a lot of VCs, and this is 2013. Okay, this is like
Yeah,
2
so
years
early.
later.
Yeah.
It was still very early. So I even asked my brother to join me. Right, he declined. He was at Google at the time.
Okay.
So basically, we started BTCChina, the very first Bitcoin exchange in China.
Okay.
And became a very large market. And eventually, our company actually became the world's largest exchange by the end of that year. Right. So there was another exchange called MTGOX, which was the number one, and then we became number one later that year.
Okay.
So it was fun. It was tremendously risky, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
As an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
getting funding, getting VC funding, talking to venture capital investors, getting term sheets and all that stuff. It was all new to me.
Yeah.
But it was something I've always wanted to do. So all throughout my life, I wanted to start a business,
Yeah.
be a CEO.
And you had such a great experience at different companies,
Yeah,
learning different things. So.
Yeah, I had a lot of experience running, at different size companies in management and all that. So only 2013 I felt ready.
Yeah. And then you sold the company after?
And then we ran it for 5 years, and
Okay.
then we sold in 2018, just almost exactly 5 years to the day.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we had an acquisition offer came in, and we sold it.
Oh, very cool. Does it still exist today, or?
So the buyers, the new owners, are still running it. It's called BTCC,
Okay.
BTCC.com. They're still running it, but it's a sort of not as big of a deal as it was back then. So
Okay.
it's more of a
Boutique?
yeah,
kinda
it's more of
smaller?
a boutique. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And your brother said no to that opportunity.
Yeah,
But then he got back into Bitcoin.
He did. So he then later that year, 2013, he actually joined Coinbase. So
Okay.
he was in the U.S. all the time.
Okay.
So that made sense. He joined Coinbase. Coinbase was also the very first Bitcoin company in the U.S. that started. So he joined Coinbase. I think in late 2013 or summer of 2013. Yeah.
Was there any thoughts of you moving to the U.S. and starting an exchange here? Or?
Not really, because my company was focused on the China market.
Yeah.
So people considered it, but it wasn't very practical to switch to the U.S. market per
Got
se.
it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
And then your brother too. He started a coin, correct?
He did, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So he was famous for creating Litecoin.
Very
So in
cool.
2011, late 2011, he actually launched a copy of Bitcoin, and he renamed it Litecoin. So it was sort of under the radar for the first 2 years.
Was it the first
And
coin?
It wasn't.
No?
Today, it's one of the surviving coins of that era,
Yeah.
but technically, it's not the first altcoin.
Okay.
So Bitcoin was launched in 2009, and throughout the 2 years, there's many small crazy coins that launch. There's like barbecue coin, sex coin, name coin, all these crazy names
Oh, interesting.
that launched in 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
And then his coin, called Litecoin, actually became more famous because it was more fair. He did it more fairly than others.
Interesting.
So many of the people who created other coins, they created a stash, they kept it to themselves, right? That greedy sort of aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas with Litecoin, he did it more fairly. He just launched it and let everyone else go at it.
Like Bitcoin.
Yeah, kind of
Essentially.
like a Bitcoin. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you didn't work on that venture with him at all? Or?
I did not.
Okay.
It wasn't actually. It's not actually a company. It's more like a project.
I
right?
see.
So Litecoin is its own sort of project. Today, these days, it's run off a foundation, run by a foundation.
Oh, is it? Okay. Interesting.
It's not a for-profit company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, so you sold the exchange, and then were you still
Yeah.
traveling back and forth from?
That's right.
Nevada
I was traveling back and forth. I actually traveled the world, giving a lot of speeches that year in 2018.
Okay.
A lot of keynotes and stuff like that. And then I started my new company called Ballet. We make physical cryptocurrency. Can I? Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. This is the for the camera. This is the Ballet wallet. So it's a hardware wallet. It's called hardware wallet. It's instead of just software, it's a physical thing, right?
Yeah. It's
So
heavy.
it's a physical thing. It's hefty,
Yeah.
and it's made of stainless steel. This one is gold plated, real gold, and it's a cold storage. The idea is that you can store cryptocurrency on here, where there's no electronic parts. It's not connected to the internet, so it's completely cold. Right? Feels cold, right?
Yeah.
So it's not on a hot device. It's
Got
on a
it.
cold device.
Okay.
So it's disconnected. So it makes it really safe. So hackers cannot get to it. If you put Bitcoin in here, hackers cannot get to it remotely.
What made
That's
you
the
create
idea.
that product?
So I created this product because through my year off in 2018, I discovered, and by then I had already been in Bitcoin for 7 years, so I was like quite an expert already. But I discovered that Bitcoin was still very hard for normal people,
Oh yeah.
right? It was very hard for normal people to buy, to sell, to store. So we figured out a way to invent a product that will allow everyday people to store Bitcoin safely, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and this is the product.
Interesting.
So I decided to start this product out to make it easier because at the time, all of the competing hardware wallets were very difficult to use.
And digital,
they were digital. They had buttons and screens and passwords and setup process and backup recovery seeds, and lots of details, firmware upgrades. It was just a complete headache. Like I could go through it myself,
sure,
but my mother, my sister,
myself,
no one else could do it properly except for the geeks and the nerds. So I realized, hey, as a geek and a nerd, I appreciate the safety of those features of those products, but it was very difficult to use for normal people. Okay. So I came up to do something that was tremendously easier for everyday people.
So more for the 99% of us.
Exactly. This is for the 99%.
Okay.
So this is the product, Ballet. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And when did you start that?
I started this company in 2019.
Okay.
So in January 2019, I got together with a group of people who left BTCC.
Okay.
So we got together. We created this company called Ballet. Okay. And we set out to invent the world's easiest to use cold storage, and this is the product. So I'm very proud. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. I just love the way it looks too.
Yeah. And you can buy these on Amazon.
Oh, you can. Yeah. Very cool. And you also wrote a book too.
Yes. And then it was also that year, 2018. I decided to write a book. That's when I had the idea to write a book. I didn't start writing until 2019.
Okay.
So basically. Actually, no, that's not true. I started writing some drafts in 2018, and then we got worked with a book agent. So she and we pitched it to publishers in 2019. Okay, and then got an offer from McGraw-Hill to be the publisher.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So the book is called
Promise of Bitcoin.
The book is called The Promise of Bitcoin. It's actually a Wall Street Journal bestseller. You can buy this on Amazon. And recently we just launched the audiobook. Oh, so cool. I narrated my own audiobook. Okay. I did that a few months ago this year.
How long did it take you to write it?
So it took it took 2.5 years. Yeah, I believe. Right. So I started putting the outline together in 2018. Okay. And then the final script the manuscript submitted, I think it was late 2020. Okay. A little over 2 years. So I got the book contract in 2019, writing it, revisions, a lot of chapters.
What is it about? Give us a quick background.
So it's obviously about Bitcoin. Okay. So no shame. It's just Bitcoin only. I don't talk about all the altcoins. I don't talk about the DeFi, all the crazy stuff. No NFTs. It's just about Bitcoin. And the reason is that I think for people to understand cryptocurrency, you really have to understand Bitcoin first. Mm-hmm. I think these days people get carried away. They talk about all these other crazy investment schemes, right? Sure. So I think Bitcoin is the hardcore. It's an investment of our lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. The best investment opportunity of our time, right? It's called the future of money. How I can work for you. That's the subtitle. Okay. I really believe Bitcoin is the future of money. Yeah. So money today is paper money, no longer backed by gold. Blah blah blah. And then you have the Federal Reserve controlling about interest rates and all that, and then huge amount of supply being printed every year. Yeah. So in the last 2-3 years, I think they've printed 40% of the world's supply of the U.S. dollars.
It's crazy.
Right now. It's crazy. And that's why it's inflation. That's why asset bubbles and recession cycles and all that stuff. But Bitcoin, I think this is the future of money. And I talk about everything about Bitcoin. Just fundamentally, this is written for the 99%. So this is not technical.
Educate yourself about.
It's educational. Okay. It's that's why McGraw-Hill really likes it. We found a good publisher, McGraw-Hill. So basically, it's to teach the 99%, the rest of us, why Bitcoin is a big deal. Okay. And also to avoid some of the mistakes. For example, Bitcoin price is very volatile. Correct. Right. It's still what I call a teenager. Right. Yeah. Bitcoin just turned 13 this year, so it's a teenager. It's still got years to go before it matures. Right. Sure. So in 5 years, you'll turn 18, 19, 20, and so-called legal age. Sure. Right. So I think it'll take a few more years, but this is a great time to consider Bitcoin as an investment.
And a lot of people think it's like, oh, it's too late because it's been around.
It's not. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. Imagine investing in the internet or in the automobile industry 13 years into the industry.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Right? I mean, so early. Yeah. So early, right?
I mean, Google was what, 1999?
Google started in 1998.
Okay.
Right? And the internet started in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, so look how much time that is.
Right? Yeah. And the car industry, last century, but anyways, the point is we are way early. Okay. We are way early. Right.
I noticed too, as a layman, right? It's kind of interesting because Bitcoin, I've talked to a lot of people. It's kind of like the gold standard. You brought that up earlier, but it does kind of go with the market right now. Is that
there's
reason
some
for that? Or
there is the global. You talking about the recent crash, the stock market correction, when Bitcoin. Yep,
correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is. The reason is that we're seeing, with COVID, as the U.S. is coming out of the COVID pandemic, the economy is roaring back into action.
Yeah.
Right. Las Vegas, it's like COVID never happened. Right.
Yeah.
So COVID is over. Right.
Yep.
So what's happening is there's so much economic activity. It's driving a lot of inflationary pressures, and also because of all the money that was pumped into the system. So there's wage inflation, salary inflation, there's housing inflation, there's consumer goods, supermarket gas prices, energy prices, everything's going up.
Yeah.
So what the Federal Reserve has done is they've had to increase interest rates, these the overnight rates between banks. So they've increased it twice already this year.
Yep.
0.25%, and now
0.75, right?
0.75.
Yep.
And the point is that it's causing a lot of jitters in the stock market when you increase interest rates. So there's a huge fall in stock prices. The PE ratios get compressed. These are all investment stuff, right?
Got it.
And then the bond market is crashing because interest rates are going up. So the bond markets are going crazy. The stock markets are going crazy. The interest rates are being jacked up. The mortgage rates are going to be jacked up. People are going to have harder times paying their mortgage bills and getting mortgages for new homes.
And vehicles are
car loans and gas prices.
Yeah.
So there's a big worry. Everyone, I don't care if you're an economist or if you're just a regular person, that the country's going to go into a recession.
Correct.
So this is a balancing act what the Federal Reserve has to do. And because of the recessionary pressures, there's a lot of liquidity, what they call liquidity pressure. Okay.
I see.
So there's a flight to liquidity. There's a liquidity crash where people are saying, oh my gosh, all my margin loan, my stocks. Some people buy stocks on margin loan.
Yeah.
Some people, spend beyond their means and have credit card bills. So there's a liquidity crunch. And that's when people need to sell things to generate cash to pay bills and cover the margins.
So that's why Bitcoin's
That's why Bitcoin is
because I would think that it's so unique, right? That it would go the opposite.
Correct.
It's like when people don't have trust in the market, they would buy things like Bitcoin.
Traditionally, yes, but in a big crash, everything squeezes.
Interesting. Okay.
Even Bitcoin, even gold and silver, everything squeezes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why we're seeing some pricing pressure.
And where do you see Bitcoin going over the next 3, 5, 10 years? That's a loaded question.
Great question. So I am very, very optimistic with Bitcoin long term. So even though the price have crashed by more than 50% in the last few weeks and months,
you don't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it at all because I'm holding on to my Bitcoin. Hold on for dear life, right?
Yeah.
But I really think Bitcoin today is trading at around 20,000, 21,000. It was only a few weeks ago it was 30,000, and a few months ago it was 40,000, 50,000, right?
Yep.
So it's just gone down by a lot. However, I'm confident that Bitcoin will exceed $1 million in the next 5, 10, 15 years. I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, but it's going to go to $1 million for sure.
Wow.
So for that reason, I'm sitting comfortably and not worrying too much. Because I never had to borrow money to buy Bitcoin.
So obviously, a guy like me, it's a great time to buy.
I think so.
Yeah.
But the corollary or the sad truth is people are most interested in buying Bitcoin when the times are good.
Yeah.
When it's frothy, when it's, oh my God, Bitcoin
50.
is so cool.
Yeah.
Let's go buy Bitcoin at 50,000.
Yeah.
Now that's crashed down to 20,000. I say, hey, this is actually a better time to buy. You can buy more.
Yeah.
People are like, oh no, it's kind of scary. I don't want to buy.
Yeah.
So this is this weird concept where people, when the prices are low, people don't want to buy it.
Yeah, because they're more unsure.
Yeah, more unsure. And that which is why the prices are low.
Yeah.
So it's sort of market demand, right?
Yeah, you figure, I've talked to a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me. Not as smart as you, but that are like, it's not going anywhere. Like it's going to become a part of our culture, a part of the way we do business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if that's a fact, then why would you not have the confidence to invest in something like that?
Well, it takes takes some brains to understand that.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote the book, to teach people this is really good investment.
Yeah. Where can people get the book? On Amazon?
On Amazon as well. So the book is sold on Amazon. Yep. You can also get the Kindle version. For the ebook. You can also get the audiobook version on Amazon. So the audiobook version just came out last month.
Okay.
Just a few weeks ago, actually.
So it's a great place for someone to start to educate themselves.
Yeah. So that's why my book and my company products, we're very much well aligned. Mm-hmm. I've been in the industry for like I say, 11 years.
Yeah.
I've made my money.
Yeah.
I'm financially independent, wealthy. And what I'm doing next is to share this knowledge with everyday people, with the rest of America, with the rest of the world.
Very cool.
So I wrote this book. as an educational tool. The audiobook is out there.
Yeah.
And then this wallet is really the first wallet for everyone to use. This is really the wallet for the 99%.
And tell us the difference between, because I know there's other cold storage wallets out there in the market.
Yeah. So, the difference, the other ones, I don't want to name any by brand.
Sure, yeah.
But the other ones are all electronic. So they're all these gadgets, these USB gadgets, kind of like a thumb drive or whatever.
Yeah.
They have buttons on them. They have displays on them. You have to plug in the cable. You have to charge a battery. You have to do the Bluetooth setup.
Yeah.
You do the NFC stuff. Or you have to install some program on it. You have to update the firmware, flash the firmware. You have to set it up, do a backup. You have to write down some words and put the words in the safe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of setup process,
maintenance,
setup and maintenance.
And also electronics always get outdated. And
Exactly. Electronics can get outdated. They break, you know, solar flares, EMPs, and stuff like that. I mean, these are all extreme circumstances.
Sure.
But electronics are generally not reliable, right? Whereas a book, you know, if you keep it safe, this book you can read it 20 years from now.
Yeah.
Because everything's human readable.
Yeah.
Right? You can read it with your own eyes. You don't need another computer interface. Like if I gave you the book,
it's tangible.
If I gave you the book, here's the difference. If I gave you the book in this paper form, hardcover, or I gave you the book on a thumb drive or on a CD-ROM or a floppy disk.
Totally different.
In 20 years, how can you still read my book?
You can't.
Most likely you'll read it from this.
Go to an antique shop to get a
right?
CD player. Yeah.
Exactly. A CD-ROM drive or a DVD or like a USB. By then USB will be USB 19.
Yeah.
And how do you come back to USB version 1, right? How do you read it? Right? So that's why I created this wallet. This is a physical, it's a bearer asset. And everything on here is human readable. You can all the text on here, you can read it with your own eyes. Even if you have reading glasses or magnifying glass, you can still read it.
Yeah.
So this is why I created this wallet. It's very different from the so-called more advanced, sort of technical wallets out there.
And someone like me would want to put money on this.
Yes.
Versus letting it all be on an exchange like a Coinbase.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Yeah. So when you leave your Bitcoins in digital assets on an exchange, that's a custodial relationship. They are the custody of your assets. And the ethos of cryptocurrencies, you want to hold it yourself. You don't want them to hold it for you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we advocate for people to buy the Bitcoin, to invest in it, but then to hold it themselves. And Ballet is a perfect tool for that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
and you can actually buy and sell the crypto directly on here, correct?
So my company doesn't do it.
Okay.
We don't currently sell Bitcoin directly to customers. We sell the wallets to customers. But on the wallet software, when you buy this, you can optionally also download a program on your iPhone or Android phone, and you can scan this and you can see the value on here.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
It's optional because when you load money on here, it's already on here. You don't need the program per se.
Yeah.
Because the money is actually in the card itself.
Yes.
The Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, Ethereum or whatever. Now, the program allows you to view it, do more fancy stuff. And the program, we connect with other vendors who can then offer to sell you Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so where are you thinking about taking with this company over the next few years?
So we want
what
to
are some of your goals?
Basically we want to make this. It's an educational process. We want to make this more available all around the world. We already sell it on 13 different Amazon marketplaces all around the world.
Okay.
And we have a website, ballet.com. You can go there and you can buy these, order these anywhere in the world, except for sanctioned countries. Apparently, we can't sell through some sanctioned countries.
Okay.
But then it's an educational process to teach people the joys, the benefits of investing in Bitcoin and digital currency.
Yeah.
And then obviously, they have to do their own research to decide what to invest, how much to invest.
What do you recommend someone when it looks at like their income or their net worth, like how much to put in Bitcoin?
So so for the casual person, there's a rule of thumb: invest 1 or 2% of your net wealth.
Got it.
Okay, but I would say if you're young, if you're interested in this sector, you can easily go to 5 or 10% or more.
Okay.
Right. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't
course.
put your own life savings in here unless you really understand it. Now, I personally have more than 10% of my assets tied in Bitcoin. I'm a strong believer, a big believer.
Sure.
But for most people like yourself, start with 1 or 2%. If you really like it, go to 5, maybe 10%.
Got it.
But the truth is, Bitcoin price will go up and down very, very rapidly. So just be prepared for the volatility. I talk about it in the book. Be prepared for the volatility. And when it goes down on the dip, you can choose to buy some more.
Yeah.
And then when it goes up, it'll be a larger and larger percentage of your net wealth.
Do you foresee it going down further right now, or do you think this is going to be the bottom?
I think we're near the bottom, but it will go down as a sharp drop.
Okay.
So today it's like 20,000, 21,000.
It's been hovering there for a bit now.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it easily dropped down quickly to 15,000, 16,000 and come back up.
Got it.
But don't try to wait for that because it'll be very small
window.
Small window. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I will say too, I did buy one of these.
Yeah.
And I gave it as a gift for one of my friend's son had his birthday.
Excellent.
And so these
did
are
you
really
put some
cool.
Bitcoin on here?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So he lost a little bit of money, but he's going to make a lot more later.
Yes.
But I just want to say, I want to point out, like, this is I've shown this product to a few people.
Yeah.
And every person, in fact, I think you met Dusty, who you got interviewed.
Dusty, yes.
Trevino, yeah.
Yes.
So he went out and went on your website and bought some.
Oh, cool.
So I gave him one.
Yeah.
But these are impressive. You know,
Yes.
it's just because
I'm very proud of these.
Gold and like heavy and.
Yeah.
And it's really a unique gift to give someone too. I think, especially for kids.
Exactly.
Because you never know. I mean, if it does hit that $1 million mark, that $50 is a lot more money than it was before. So
exactly.
Great
to get kids involved in cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
Great way.
And
of all ages too.
Yeah. And how do you recommend getting a kid educated? Because I think
so obviously if they can read, read the book, buy the book. I didn't. I mean, this book is not for toddlers or for young children, but certainly high school age you can read this no problem. Right?
Yeah.
And then in terms of younger children, elementary school, I think for the parents to teach them, for the parents to read a book and then teach the concepts of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to the kids. Digital. We live in a digital world.
Yeah.
Right. These are digital natives. When these kids grow up, I mean, the internet is native to them. Digital currency is native to them, right? It's just
my kids are on YouTube flipping around.
Exactly.
They're pros already.
Yeah. So it's very important that they get educated on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there books for kids that are out there or anything like that?
I don't know of any Bitcoin or crypto book.
That could be your next
for
project.
Kids. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That's very cool. So, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about Ballet and the product itself that you think would be interesting for people to learn about? Or
what else? So the important thing is a bearer asset. So we've turned what we've done with this to make it simple. We've returned the hard concept of a virtual digital currency into physical form. And by doing that, we make it tangible, right? But the downside, it's plus and minus. The downside is you can't afford to. If you put Bitcoin on here, I don't care if it's $50 or $5,000.
Yeah.
Don't lose the thing itself.
Yeah.
Treat it like cash. Treat it like a bar of gold.
Got it.
Because once you bring the Bitcoin on here, this is it.
So
right. So there's no passwords.
Yeah.
No. By the way, it's a good thing. No passwords. Because people think, oh, no passwords, dangerous. But it's a good thing because if someone gets hit by a bus, you want their family, their spouse, and their children to get access to their gold and silver and Bitcoin. And with this, you can.
Yeah.
Same thing. When you want to give this as a gift, you don't want a password where if this had a password that only you knew.
Sure.
And then you gave it as a gift.
They can't access
it. Right. They can't access it. But even if you told them what it is.
Yeah.
They might still not be able to access it because if they forget it years later.
Okay.
So we purposely make this into a bearer asset where there's no passwords at all. So whoever has it keeps it.
Okay.
And that's by intention. It's designed by intention.
And do you recommend people storing it at like a bank or safe in their home or
put it somewhere safe? Just like if you have $2,000 worth of Bitcoin on here, keep it where you would keep $2,000 of cash. Would you keep it on your kitchen counter? Probably not.
Yeah.
Would you bring it with you everywhere where you go? Probably not.
Yeah.
So you would keep it at home somewhere safe, hide it. If you have a home safe, put it in the home safe. You have a home, whatever, a bank safe, whatever, hide it in your attic or hide it under bed mattress.
Yeah.
Hide it somewhere.
Very cool.
Right, just where you would with your cash.
Exactly.
Yeah, jewelry.
Yeah.
Think about, jewelry, cash, or gold. Right.
Now,
and for other people, rich people, they might wear a $50,000 watch.
Sure.
So for them, if they're okay with that, they might be okay with having $50,000
in their pocket.
Right? In their pocket.
It just depends on the person.
Depends on the person.
Yeah. And so with that product, right? Like, let's say someone asked me this the other day, and I didn't have a good answer, but like, if there was like a nuclear war or something major, like, how would you be able to access this? Like, what would you be able to do with this if
well, first thing is, if the Bitcoin's on here, if I see you, if we're refugees, we take this and go and run away, right? So my ancestors, were refugees. They had to run away from wars and war zones and stuff like that, and they brought gold and silver with them, right?
Yep.
So with the same thing. So if we had to run
Evacuate.
away. Whether it's Ukraine, what's happening in Ukraine today, and
Yeah.
you had Bitcoin. If you had it in here, you just put it in your pocket and you
Run.
literally run with your bags and whatnot.
Yeah.
Most precious stuff, right? But otherwise, you can also transfer electronically.
Okay.
So you could use a phone and internet connection, use your app. You could transfer the Bitcoins from here to another Bitcoin account somewhere else, whether that's an exchange account or another wallet or another Ballet wallet.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the flexibility. You could transfer it physically or electronically from this.
Got it.
Very easy.
And so do you recommend people not utilizing the exchanges or just limiting it?
You still have to use the exchanges because
Yeah.
the exchanges are what they call the on-ramps and off-ramps. So
Okay.
to get from money to Bitcoin, you have to use exchanges. And
Got
later, when you sell the Bitcoin back to money, you have to go use exchanges.
Interesting.
So exchange is still a critical point. This critical
Entry point.
entry and exit point
Okay.
for cryptocurrency. But on the other hand, once you have the cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, you want to take it off the exchange to keep it yourself as a safe.
Because that happened to a lot of
For
people in
safety.
Russia, right? They shut them down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I think Coinbase shut down accounts for Russian users.
Mm-hmm.
When you have your money in someone else's account, in someone else's company, you're
a
at
lot
their
of risk.
mercy.
Yeah.
You're at their
yeah.
mercy.
Yeah.
They can freeze your accounts.
Mhm.
They can deny you access. Worst of all is someone can use identity theft and steal your coins.
Oh, wow.
And that's the worst thing, when
Yeah.
your account gets hacked.
Yeah.
Not the exchange getting hacked, but your account getting hacked.
So do you put most of your money on the Ballet cards?
Yeah, I keep them off exchange. I put them on hardware wallets like this. Yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely. I use Ballet wallets myself as
Yeah.
well. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes sense, you know. But
diversify.
yeah, and I think listening to a guy like you, makes me want to run out and buy Bitcoin right now because
You should.
you were ahead of the internet curve, right? You saw that
Yes.
vision,
Yes.
you saw it coming, and that's why you took the risk at Yahoo.
Yes.
And now
yes.
you're feeling the same kind
Absolutely.
of mojo, if you will. So
Absolutely.
very interesting to learn from. So give us one more time while we wrap up. Like,
Yeah.
where can people buy the book? Where can people
Sure.
purchase the Ballet cards?
Sure. So the book is available on Amazon.
Okay.
In the physical hardcover version, as well as a Kindle and the ebook and the audiobook version on Amazon.com and all the Amazon marketplaces around the world.
And BobbyLee.com too.
BobbyLee.com as well. Yes. And then that's my personal website, BobbyLee.com. And then for the wallet, the company is called Ballet, Ballet, as in the dance form. So
Yeah.
we picked a name that was very sort of friendly for
I meant
women.
to ask that. Yeah. What was a
Because all the crypto companies, I don't know if you look at those are crazy names.
Yes,
all these
yeah.
crazy geek names. It's like, how did you come up with that
Yeah,
word?
yeah,
They
yeah.
just smash two syllables together and they call it a
Sure.
Bitcoin company, right?
Yeah,
A crypto
yeah.
company.
Yeah.
So they're very geek, very tech, very very unapproachable, especially for women.
Yeah.
So we want to create a global brand, a lasting brand
Yep.
that's equally approachable by men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So we picked a name that has no fintech background. So Ballet is something we can trademark
Yeah.
for fintech for crypto.
Okay.
So we picked Ballet. We have ballet.com domain, and it's great. I think it's great. It's unique. It's not one of those geeky names that
Definitely.
you can't pronounce.
Yeah, it's warm and inviting. It's familiar, so
Yeah.
that works really well.
Exactly. So it's elegant and simple. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's Ballet, and then Ballet.com. You could buy our wallets from there. You can buy from Amazon, and
Okay.
also I myself have launched a new podcast series. So I'm branding myself as Bobby Lee Bitcoin.
Oh, very cool.
So Bobby Lee. If you search Bobby Lee Bitcoin on Google or YouTube, you get all my past interviews and podcasts and all that stuff.
Which I wanted to bring up, because I
Yeah.
watched a lot of those. You've been on Bloomberg and featured on a lot of different
yes,
major news websites as well, right?
Yes, I've been all over the news over the last 8 years. Yeah.
And you go around to like conferences and speak and educate people about this. So you really are passionate about people learning about Bitcoin and getting into it.
Absolutely.
Which
Absolutely.
is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
spreading the knowledge.
Exactly. I enjoy doing this. It's really, I feel like I'm an ambassador, a self-appointed ambassador for Bitcoin.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And my last question, because just to tie in the Vegas theme a little bit,
Yeah.
is, where do you see Bitcoin? I've seen actually, at a gentleman's club, they're taking Bitcoin.
Oh, yes, in Vegas. Yeah, one of those. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I'm seeing it pop up more and more, and there's like meetup groups and things like that. Where do you see it impacting like the local community here in Vegas?
I think it's going to still take some time, to be honest with you. I think
Okay.
Bitcoin, there are people who say, oh, you should use Bitcoin to buy coffee, to buy your groceries,
Sure.
Go to the gentleman's club to buy dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's fine that they
Yeah.
do it, but I don't think that's the killer use case. The
Yeah.
reality is just my reality, what I see in the world is I can easily use a credit card, use Apple Pay, pay by Apple Pay on my watch.
Yeah.
I could easily pay cash at many of these places. I don't need to pay Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And plus, it turns out today, Bitcoin is still very hard to buy. The reality is very hard and cumbersome to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to make it easy for Ballet. Ballet, we're going to try to make it easier for people.
Yeah.
But it's still very hard.
Yeah.
So the logic is, if it's very hard for you to acquire your Bitcoin, why would you willy-nilly spend it right away?
Yeah. Yeah.
You acquired it for a reason. You acquired it not to go pay for coffee at
Investment.
Starbucks. You acquired it for a long-term investment.
Okay.
So what you should do is put it in a hard cold storage wallet, right? And save your Bitcoin and keep it as a long-term investment. So that 3, 5, 10 years later, it becomes a lot of money. At that point, you can then buy things with it. Buy a Tesla, buy a home with it, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even then, when you buy a Tesla, buy a home, you don't have to send the Bitcoin to the home buyer or the Tesla company. You could sell it at an exchange and get that money at your bank account, and then from there you can buy the Tesla, buy the home, buy
So
the
do you
vacation
see a
want.
future of everyday use 10, 15 years
Yes
from now?
and no. I think
Okay.
people should be allowed to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
U.S. is a free country. People are allowed to do it.
Yeah.
But the other reality is that you don't have to do it because there are many other payment systems, whether it's PayPal, Venmo, credit card, Visa,
Yeah.
right? But what Bitcoin is good is for international commerce.
Okay.
When you're making transactions, when you're making payment into international countries
Yeah.
with different currencies, different time zones,
Yeah.
Bitcoin is great because it happens right
It's
away.
instant.
Instant, no currency conversion craziness,
Yep.
no relying on intermediary banks for the Swift wire transfer. Oh, very crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I remember in 2018, I was giving speeches, getting paid in speaking fees, and people would have to pay me, and sometimes it was just very hard. I said, hey, if you want, just pay Bitcoin. That's easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they would do that, yeah.
Oh, big time. So my last question. So
Yeah,
what is your favorite thing about this city, to either do here, or what do you think makes Vegas unique in your mind?
I love Vegas. So I've been coming here on and off over the last few years. In fact, before COVID in 2019, when I started Ballet, I made, I think, 10 or 12 trips to Las Vegas that year from China, Vegas, Shanghai, Vegas.
Okay.
What I like is I think Las Vegas is the entertainment capital of the U.S.
Yeah.
And being entertainment capital, restaurants, shows, casinos, all sorts of entertainment, around the clock, almost practically 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that aspect. I think it's alive. It's really the heartbeat of America.
Without a doubt. There's a lot of innovation going on here too lately.
Absolutely.
Becoming more of a real city.
Yes.
So-
Yes. Oh yeah.
Definitely. But,
I think it's grown a lot over the last 10 years, and
Big time.
I'm really happy to see this.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, Bobby, I mean, it was awesome talking to you. I think it was really a lot for us to learn from your past and what you're doing now, and really a fantastic product I think everyone should check out. So ballet.com and bobbylee.com.
Yes.
I'm going to read that book. I started it. Didn't
Good.
finish it yet, but
Excellent.
But definitely, I have 2 kids, so it's hard to find time to read.
Yeah.
But really appreciate having you down at Vegas Forward, and best of luck to your future.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you. Great to be here.